Yeah, just starting. Hang on. You stop the transcript. Very good. Excellent. To start with, I'd like to acknowledge the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation as the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet this evening at the Waka Ground stands on Whadjuk country. We pay respect to Noongar elders, past, present, and emerging. This presentation is being recorded for future reference. So if you're online and under the age of 18, please do not switch your camera on. John will be monitoring the chat group and any questions that come through there. And John, anything of interest to the wider group, we'll share it with the people in the room here in the boundary room. I apologise for the late change of venue. Yeah, we chose to come in here. King Views wasn't set up for us. This one wasn't set up in its most ideal fashion for us, but we chose this room instead. So everybody's obviously extremely welcome. For those people online, tonight is our 2-day senior male playing conditions. So if you're not going to be umpiring senior male 2-day cricket, you can click that little red button that says leave. George, you've got to stay. Sorry. You've got to stay. Okay. But yeah, so that's this evening, 2-day senior male playing conditions. Okay. If you could all please, via the QR code that was previously on the screen and is on that screen there, please, Simon, don't sit on your own. What do you think you're doing? Come forward and yeah, if you could all please register your attendance by clicking the QR code, by scanning the QR code and filling in your details. It's very important. When we leave, not for our people online, when we leave the Waka Ground this evening, this is very important. Can you please, when you pick up your chair,
that's fine. Can you get me a bottle of water as well, please?
Kissing the tablecloth, please. As the tablecloth dangles down, put your chair in. It's just kissing the tablecloth. Please keep the tablecloth clean as well, else I will be in serious trouble. Okay, righto, playing conditions for our 2-day competition, just like our 1-day competition, our T20 comps, they follow the laws of cricket. Okay, so if something's not covered in our playing conditions, then we apply the laws of cricket, which we will see a little bit later on. It says that we will arrive 60 minutes before the start of play, and the toss should be done no earlier than 45 minutes and no later than 15 minutes before the start. Standard umpire arrival, standard toss time. In our 2-day competition, we can have replacement players. Okay, so players who are playing in a representative match, so they could be going out of a match to come and play for WA or the Perth Scorchers or another Big Bash franchise or the national team. They are permitted to leave, or they could be coming back into our game. They are permitted to do that as well, with approval of the competitions team. Ahmed, Michael, Luke, possibly John and I, but very unlikely, mainly through Ahmed and through the WADCC. So these do not have to be nominated at the toss. Okay, they can come into our matches midway, our representative players, and they will have a knock-on effect. So if we have a state, an international or Big Bash player coming back into our top grade, into first grade, then somebody has to move down to second grade. Somebody has to move down to third grade. Somebody has to move down to fourth grade. The only thing you need to concern yourselves with is it is okay. They can do that. You don't need to worry about approval. You don't need to worry about like for like. That's not our role as umpires. That's the job of the competition team to concern ourselves with applications and timescales, etc. Not your job. Okay, we are informed by the teams on either day 1 or day 2 when we get together, and just make a note of that on either our team list or in our notebook or similar. So players who have played in junior competitions in the morning, so 15s or 17s, and they arrive at our grounds, arrive at our matches, quite often it's normally in third grade, they do not incur penalty time. So they could come onto the field and they can bowl straight away, or they could arrive at the ground, strap the pads on, fall of a wicket, out there straight away. They do not incur penalty time. Okay. In our third and fourth grade, in threes and fours, the clubs have the opportunity to nominate 12 players, one of whom is 11A and one of whom is 11B. This must be done at the toss, and it must be the specific players noted at the toss. Ideally on the team sheet. Shakti will send this presentation out, mate. You don't need to worry about it. Oh, unless you're doing the QR code. No, you're not.
Okay.
Okay. So they can nominate a 12th player. 11A, whoever is nominated as 11A can only play as a batter and a bowler on day one. Whoever is nominated as 11B can only play as a batter and a bowler on day two. For example, I'll take a question in, Michael. If 11A is a FIFO and they have their swing changed and they are available on day two, they cannot play. They can substitute field. They cannot bat. They cannot bowl. Okay, Michael, question.
Would that be in play cricket on the app?
You must be told at the toss. Must be told at the toss. Okay.
Play cricket should have 12, but it won't distinguish who's
Okay. Pretty cool. And nothing online for that one, John? We're going to fly through this evening.
You assume that 12.
No, Phil, do not assume. Ask them if they come to you and they've got 12 names on their sheet, mate, can you please tell me exactly who is 11B, who is 11B, who is 11A, who is playing this week and who is playing next week? Okay, there is a circumstance where Fremantle, for instance, might name 15 players in their first grade team. They frequently do it. They name, after the state squad who play for Fremantle, they might name that 15. And earlier on in the week, so before the start of the match, they've, through the competitions team, they've done all their knock-ons. So if they have 3 players coming in their first grade, they know the 3 players who are going down to 2s, who know the 3 players who are going down to 3s, who know the 3 players who are going down to 4s. You should be told. In that instance, there should be 14 players on your team sheet. It's not a must. Okay, it doesn't invalidate anything if it doesn't happen, but that should happen. Chances are it's not going to happen. We don't need to concern ourselves massively about these knock-on effects, consequences for representative players. We definitely must know 11A and 11B if it's relevant to your match before the start of the match, before the toss. Okay. Once they're nominated, they cannot change. They cannot change.
It's good practice. If you see more than 11 names in your app or on a printed sheet, just ask the question why there's more than 11. Because sometimes they have accidentally put someone in. Sometimes they might even think, oh, it might subfield for us. That's why we put its name. So that may be different than being 11A and 11B. And never ask for who's 11B. Ask for both 11A and B, because they can't have an open policy around the 11 and play.
We had a private player. It's kept his details.
Yeah,
That's a my cricket issue. You need to know that name if they're 11A or B. Yeah. Okay.
You might be dealing with this, but somebody's asked the question. If there's a ground in like D1 and you're playing some part of D1 and D2, how does that apply?
Yeah, that's a great question. Great question. So if we get GWL on day 1 and we are playing some of our day 1 time on day 2, we'll cover this later, then can 11B play on day 1 time, which is on day 2? And the answer to that question is yes. So for 11A and 11B is the day of the week, Saturday and Saturday. Whereas for our GWL, some of our day 1 time is played on day 2, which we'll cover a bit later on. Okay. Excellent question. Thank you. Those are our session times. They've not changed from last year. Okay. They haven't changed from last season. Okay. 11:10. So first in the top 2 grades, 2 hours, and then an hour and a half. And in 3s and 4s, 90 minutes with lunch and tea in between. Okay. This is important. I'm mainly preaching to a lot of converted people here. And generally, including those online, I include you. It's not the people who attend our training sessions that don't get this right. the two words at the top of the screen there, minimum overs. Minimum overs. We are playing minimum overs cricket. So in first grade and second grade, a minimum of 90 overs in an uninterrupted day. In third and fourth grade cricket, a minimum of 80 overs. So if the sessions were equalised in threes and fours, we want to be getting 26 or 27 overs in a session. 27, 27, 26 at the end, or 26, 27, 27. So if at lunchtime you bowled 22, they're a little bit down. Yes, they may have taken a few wickets, a few allowances, and 4 minutes for a drinks break, but they could well be down. They need to catch up. Okay. Stumps. Stumps is drawn at the end of the over after the scheduled time, which is 5:30, or on the completion of minimum overs, whichever is later. And we've got a couple of examples a bit later on. Okay. So if you get in threes and fours, if you get to 80 overs at 5:25, or if you get to 80 overs at 10 past 5, and people think, fantastic, 80 overs, 20 minutes early. No, 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 no. We maximise our cricket, minimum overs, completed our minimum overs, or the end of the day, whichever is later. Okay. If there's a change of innings, we take off two from our minimum overs, unless the innings is completed within a rain break or just as we go off for a rain break, and then we wouldn't take off our 2 at that lunch or tea break, or at the end of the day's play, we wouldn't take off 2. Okay, so if it's 87 in our first top 2 grades, in first and second grade, if it's 87.3 and the last wicket of the day goes, takes us to, we round up to 88, take off 2 or add on 2, that's 90. If we're before 20 past 5, sorry, if we're after 20 past 5, that's the game. That's the game done. Is that you, baby Theo, baby Luke? Okay, that is the day's play complete, and that innings is over. Okay. Pens at the ready, pens and papers. Please do not write on the tablecloths. Okay, first grade match. Team A is all out in 58.2 overs. A minimum of how many overs remain in the day, please? Come on, Kurt, get your pen out, young man. So, do you not have pens at workplace? Have you got a bag?
Yeah.
Do you not keep a pen in your bag? Very good practice to keep a pen in your bag. Use your calculator. I'm coming to use them on for the answer, okay, in just a moment. Sorry? Yep, that's all right. I'm coming to you for the answer. Okay, so in a first grade match, the fact that it's first grade is not necessarily relevant. It's the principle of working out minimum overs. Team A are all out in 58.2 overs. A minimum of how many overs remain in the day? Simone? 29. Has anybody got anything other than 29? You can be honest. 30 from Shakti. Any advance on 30? What have we got online, John?
29.
29. Anybody want to go 31? Okay. Zaman, how did you get 29? Yeah. But how did you get to your 29?
90 minus 58.2.
Yep.
Give me 31 point something.
Yep.
8.
Yep.
And then a 2 overs or change of innings.
Yeah.
29.8.
Yep.
Around to 29.
Okay, it's quite a complicated way to do it. Shakti, how did you get to 30?
The minimum overs for the day, 90.
Yep.
The first grade. So they all are in 58.2. So which is like, so I'm just considering it just 58, and I'm taking 2 over.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Michael?
58.2, so you start that over, then you take away 2, so then got 29.
So 58.2, because it's the 0.2, that's an over that's been started. Okay, so that takes us actually to 59, and then 2 for the change, 61. So 29 is the answer. See where you went there? Good stuff. There you go. So 90 minus 59 minus 2 is 29. Okay. Unless it happens at tea time. All the information you got is on the screen. Okay. Right, next one. Ernest, I'm coming to you.
It's the completed.
Sorry?
A started over is considered.
Yeah,
completed.
Ernest, I'm coming to you for this answer. Not now, not now. Okay, here we go. So Ernest, I need a restart time and the number of overs left in the day, please. When you're ready. And type in your answers online, please.
Only known as the night or something.
Okay, again, this is just applying the principle. Happy with that one, Phil? Okay. You don't know? Okay. What do we play? What do we play?
Well, you've got 87 overs bowling, supposedly.
Yep. Yep.
So you should have one over.
Yep.
The 89.
Yep.
2 for the innings. Then that takes you up to the finishing time of 5:30.
The scheduled finishing time. Stumps will be drawn at the end of the over after the scheduled time for the stumps or on the completion of minimum overs.
We bowl one over.
Bingo. I think that's what I put. Well, let's look at Ernest. What have you got?
Dear TP captain, congratulations for bowling them out. You had to come up and you're opening to face 1 over, and we are starting at 5:30.
And incidentally, that is exactly how you would say it as well, wouldn't it? You congratulate them for bowling them out. You would do it in exactly that style. Yeah. So, anybody get anything different online, John? So, does anybody think anything different?
We had a change, someone did, but then it was changed. Right?
Okay. So don't forget, we are playing minimum overs. So we need to get 90 overs in for the day. Absolutely. They could be 6 for.
Yeah.
At the end, they could be all out. They could be 10 stumpings off wides. Okay.
What if they catch us and say, well, no, that's it, one over. And just stay.
How do you mean?
Well, they don't want to play. Well,
Unlucky, they're playing. They're going out there. They are going out.
If you go to free to play, I remind you, under the laws of cricket, there are provisions for free to play. That is your decision, and I will report that up. And what are the consequences are on your head.
They can't not play. Well, put it this way: the team that are all out, they are going to want to go and play an over.
If they refuse to play, both refuse to play, good, because you don't have a game next week.
Yeah.
They're both
Say again?
okay.
You want to go at that night if you were
Of course you would. Absolutely.
We're taking us as a four.
And those are some of the best. So I tell you, in suburban turf, if there are 9 overs or fewer left in the day, it is the choice of the fielding captain whether they want to go and bowl those overs.
But let's not confuse ourselves.
No, let's not confuse that. Don't get confused. Don't get confused. Okay, so let's have a look at the answer to this one. Don't forget we're playing minimum overs, so we've got to get our 90 in. So
minimum overs and time. You can't have one. You have to have both.
correct, whichever is the later. So right, so 5. We're talking minimum overs cricket. That's the thing to remember. We are playing minimum overs cricket, so we get to 86.2, round up to 87. 2 for the change takes us to 89. 90 minus 89 is 1. And we play that over. Even if it's 8:30 in the evening, probably going to be affected by light, I'd grant you. Even if we're way over, way over time, we go out and we play that over. Okay?
Right. The reality is you will very rarely finish at 5:30.
Who said 6 o'clock?
I was asking.
We play past 6 o'clock. Okay, if there's no ground weather and light,
to get you
we
on.
play past, we get those overs in. We get them in. We minimum overs cricket. That's what we've got to remember. Pixie,
Masters, UWL.
On the occasion when you
hang on, please.
So
please.
we've completed the minimum overs, okay, and it's 5:28.
Yep.
So we've got less than 3 minutes
Yep,
and a wicket falls, okay?
right.
Then we're going off, correct?
No. Oh, hang on. If you completed your minimum overs
Yeah.
at 5:28, then we're going off. Yeah, apologies. Yeah.
James, sorry,
Yeah.
with that last over,
Yes.
bowl,
Yep.
corner of the wicket.
Yep.
We call it quick.
No,
finish
we
that up.
carry on. And it's really important to tell them that as well as we're going out. So captain, gents, there's 1 over left and we complete that over. No matter what happens, we complete that over. Michael,
If the wicket was there, go on. Why would we go on there?
because we completed our minimum overs. So-
Sorry, you missed the first part.
Yeah,
You said if minimum overs were bowled, say for example, if 90 overs were already bowled, but they were bowled before 5:30, there's a wicket at 5:28 and 91.4. You don't bowl the rest.
You got 2 minutes for the batsman to.
3.
And shoot.
3 minutes 10 you do, that's 2.
Sorry.
5:19 you do.
Yeah.
You did.
One over.
No. Well, that would be the end of an innings, wouldn't it? Yeah, that's just a wicket fix he's talking about.
We only allow 2.
No, 3 minutes. We get 2 minutes allowance per wicket,
Yes.
but for the sake of an interval,
Laws of cricket.
3 minutes. Yeah, thanks, John.
In reality, what's going to happen, the teams are going to go, and they won't want to bowl any more than 80 or 90.
No, they don't want it, yeah.
They'll time it
Yeah.
to perfection.
Right, let's move on. I thought we were good. I've withdrawn my previous statement of we're going to be out of it nice and early. Right, question number 3. In a 3rd grade match, Team A are all out at 3:33. Remember the timings of the day? In 50 overs. I'm coming to you, Todd, for the restart time and the number of overs. Remembering the timings of the day. No, I'm coming to Todd. I'm the very best umpires.
This question got me, I'll say this much.
You will next round.
I think you're not about to.
It's the grade is not relevant. It's the principle. It's applying the principle of the playing conditions. Why?
Because T is from 210 to 340.
No. The second session is 2:10 till 3:40.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And then we've got to fit 27 overs in 20 minutes. Great.
Could we, what time do we take tea?
But apply the. What are you going to do? Phone me up at 3:33 or 3:35 by the time you finish off? You're not your brother.
No, no,
You
it's
can't
okay.
just do that. You can't just phone me.
It's okay. The phone me.
Yeah.
You're coming to me.
I'm coming to you for this. Yeah. Not yet. There's a little bit of conjecture in the ranks. What have we got online, John? Have we got some answers?
Yep.
Yeah, but what?
Half an hour. That's fine.
That's good because you're in that please. So you get.
Well, we might be wrong.
And then go.
Yeah. Used to take immediately. 352.
That's right. Right. Okay. Todd, what do you have? Shakti, I'm coming to you for a response.
We are within 7 minutes of the tea break.
Yeah.
We take tea immediately.
Yep.
So we take tea from 3:33 to 3:53, and that's when we go back and we.
No, it's half an hour, T, isn't
No, it's 20 minutes. Because the innings changes within that period of time, you don't lose any overs, so you're bowling the 30 overs.
Okay, so Todd Rand said, because we're within 10 minutes of tea, he said 7, I'll say 10. Because we're in 10 minutes of tea, we take that, and it's an innings end, not a wicket falls. The innings is ended within 10 minutes of tea. We take our tea immediately. Tea is of the prescribed length, so we go 3:33 till 3:53. And because that change of innings is wholly within an interval, we do not take off those 2 overs. So we are coming back for 30 overs. So we take tea immediately. We restart at 3:53, and our minimum number of overs remaining is 30. Shaq, did you get that?
Yes.
Happy? Michael?
So how much time do you give? For example, they get bowled out with like 30 minutes before tea.
Yep.
Do you take tea then? Or
What do
you
our
take-
playing conditions say? Okay, so the answer is no. So the whole tea time, so 11.6, 11.7 in the laws of cricket, 30 minutes, 9 down before tea, and then we would carry on playing. They do not apply. Okay, if an innings ends within 10 minutes of lunch or tea, that's the only time that we would take that break early within the PCs. Okay,
And for the fall of wickets, it's less than.
ball of wicket is within 3 minutes of the break. 3 minutes.
So the ball wicket happens at 3:37, 3:36. You play on.
Absolutely. Batter comes out, probably depends when in the over it is. That fall of wicket is on the last ball of an over. The batter comes out, you'll probably get another over in. Our new batter's going to take guard at 3:38, 3:39, and you might go off at 3:42, and you take that 20 minutes.
The ones that hit like 3:40.
Complete the over in progress. Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Paul, I'm going to come to you for this last one. Okay, your 4th grade match. Team A are all out at 5:18 p.m. in 78.2 overs. What's the restart time and how many overs do we bowl? Hang on. We'll just give people a bit of time to think. Paul Hemwood.
Yeah, so you'd be coming back out at 5:28. There's still 2 minutes left. The overs, because it was partway through the 79th over, we've reached the minimum because the 2 did it after 10 minutes, so it becomes irrelevant. It just started 5:28. You probably get 1 over.
Anybody got anything different?
If a wicket falls in that over,
You completely over.
Completely over.
why?
No,
No, you don't. No, you go.
you go.
You finish.
Because the minimum.
Because the minimum overs have been completed. Yeah.
And you're within 3 minutes of time, so you get.
Yep.
You do your point, whatever.
And really important that as you walk out for that 2 minutes, not for that 1 over, for that 2 minutes, you tell the captains before you go, gents, we're going out for 2 minutes. And if a wicket falls, we go. Oh, why is that different? Because it's different because that's the way the playing conditions are written. Speak to your delegate.
If it was 76.2, you will complete that over.
Correct. Yeah. Do you understand why? I'll take that as a no. Okay.
So why in the second point then, there was a wicket?
Yep.
There could be 6 wickets.
Yes, because we haven't done our minimum overs. Whereas in the 4th grade match there, 0.4, we've already done our minimum overs, which is 78.2 rounded to 79. Plus 2 is 81. So that's our minimum overs done. So we're playing to time. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. What I need a footer on here, which has got John Sherry's phone number on. So on every screen, we've got John's phone number. Okay, so we take our 10-minute change of innings. We restart at 5:28. We play until 5:30, complete that over in progress, unless there's a wicket, and then we call stumps. Okay. Again. Righto.
Second point.
In the second point, we haven't reached our minimum overs. So the second point is the 2nd grade match, 90 overs.
Oh, okay.
So 86.2, 87, 88, 89. Cool. Happy? Good. Righto. Again, maybe these slides should have been the other way around, but this is much more likely to occur. So in a 1st grade match, I'm coming to you, Stephen Lamb. In a 1st grade match at 5:30, 86.5 overs have been bowled. What happens next? Straight away, Steve, what happens? We bowl to 90. We complete our overs. 10 to 7. Okay. So if we get to our 5:30, if we get to our cessation time and we haven't bowled our minimum overs, we carry on. We carry on. We carry on. And we keep bowling and we keep bowling and we keep bowling until light beats us, ground weather and light beats us, or we reach our minimum overs. Okay, if we get to our cessation time, a lot of people think wrongly that we get to 6 o'clock and then stop. This is not test match cricket. This is not Shield cricket where they have a half an hour allowable overtime. We bowl our minimum overs.
James, so in
Nick.
that instance there, that's where you start to take into consideration allowances.
No, you take into consideration allowances the whole time. That's only for, so Nick Melentis asked, in this situation, is this where we take into account allowances? We'll talk about overrate penalties at the end of the day. It's reasonable. If you've had a 20-minute injury, or an hour and 20-minute injury, if you've had a 20-minute injury, if you've had 3 drinks breaks, that's 32 minutes. And if you've had 7 wickets, that's 14 minutes, that's 46 minutes. They could be finishing at 6:16, bowling their overs with no penalties. Dixie.
You might have a scenario happened a couple of years ago when the line's so bad. It therefore it becomes playing time on day 2 from day 1.
That's why we finish at 5. That's one reason we finish at 5:30. Yeah. We're going to cover a bit of, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's very possible. Okay. Right. We continue bowling until those 90 have been completed. Matthew Hall, second grade match, 5:30. 82.2 overs have been bowled. What happens next? We keep bowling. We keep bowling. Not do we finish at 6 o'clock again? Do we finish at 6 o'clock? No. We finish at 90 overs. We continue bowling. We continue bowling until those 90 overs have been bowled. If GWL suspends play after 5:30, those unbowled overs are lost to the game. We'll talk about GWL a bit later on, okay? Because that's an anomaly in there. Not an anomaly, but it's an unusualism. In a third grade match, Michael Scott, 80 overs have been bowled at 5:19. What happens next? Until? Anybody think anything different? Very good. Excellent. Good work. Okay. In a fourth grade match, rain or bad light ends the day's play at 5:26 with 73 overs bowled. What happens next? I'm coming to Zaman for this. Oh, I've asked Zaman already.
You can't.
Up here, that continue bowling. You know, it's got 4 minutes to spend playing on. But it's still part. It's worth we next day bowl 1 over
Next. Are you going to give the answer?
Can I crack?
You can, absolutely you can.
I think that 7 overs goes on to day 2, and it's day 1 playing time. And we start half an hour earlier, about 20 minutes earlier.
Almost.
Okay. The theory of what you're saying is correct. It's those 4 minutes that go on to the next week's playing time. Okay.
7 overs.
And they've got to bowl 7 overs in 4 minutes, which we understand is not going to happen. So the following week, you're going to be starting at 12:06. You're going to bowl 7 overs, which is the end of day 1. Okay. If Team A are still batting their first innings, that is the end of their innings. You take a 10-minute change and then you start day 2 and you're going to have a late finish. Okay. It's going to
push everything back.
Correct. Yes, that's right. Not lunch and tea. Your breaks are still the same, but your
12:06, sorry, Dan.
so this is in third and fourth. They start at 12:10. Okay. But we start 4 minutes early. They do start at 12:10, don't they? Yeah. But it's the 4 minutes that is important because GWL has affected us before the scheduled cessation time. We can carry that time over. Okay, so we take over 4 minutes. We start at 12:06 and then we bowl those 7 overs. Let's say that takes us to 12:35. Okay, at 12:35, if Team A are still batting in their first innings, they must declare. They must declare. They've had their minimum overs. They've had their 80 overs, maximum overs. They must declare. So we then have a 10-minute change. So at 12:45, Team B start their 80 overs. Okay. If we start at 12:06 and Team A are already all out, they're all out on day 1, and Team B are batting, we get those 7 overs, and then we just continue. We just continue into the 80. Okay, so we wouldn't stop after those 7 overs. You're basically having 87 overs in the day. Ahmed.
There is a third scenario. Yeah. So Team A could be bowled out within those 7 overs. You have the 10-minute changeover, that is still day 1. And then day 2 starts whenever those 7 overs are finished. So it could be, for example, if it's 73 overs, in over 75, Team A gets out. You have a 10-minute changeover, 2 overs taken off, so you still got 3 overs to go.
So
over 75.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
You have 11 and 11B. Field or battlers.
No. 11B is allowed to play because it's a day. It's a day of the week. It's not a day's play. So 11, we're not going to stop just because we're playing those 7 overs on day 2. We know it's day 1 cricket time being played on day 2. We're not going to stop 11B playing. Okay. Does that make sense?
It's not out.
Yep.
11B, that's next week.
Correct. 11B is allowed to, but even though for the sake of we had this conversation earlier, for the sake of playing conditions, it's cricket time. It's day 1 time being played on day 2. For the sake of 11A and 11B is day of the week. He's allowed to play.
The point James is making here is it's very important to know when your day 1 playing time ends, because that's when day 2 starts, because that's when your minimum overs start from that point, not at the start of the day.
And he might not know that. So
They don't expect play those 7 overs out, and then check your declaration, and then type 2 any others.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. So we don't take off 2 for the change. We're going to finish later.
So if
Unless
you
they-
get cessation time, we'll adjust.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Without being told.
if your day 1 takes you 15 minutes into day 2, what was day 2 schedule time, your time for stumps then moves forward. It's now that time as well, and all you
Take 4 minutes as a. That's
No. So if we start 4 minutes early, like I say, for those 7 overs, if that takes until 12:35, so we've eaten into 25 minutes of day 2. We're going to start day 2, in fact, 35 minutes late.
So the time you declare from.
Correct. So our day 2 overs start at 12:45. Therefore, our new cessation time for day 2 is 6:05.
That includes that 10 minutes.
Correct.
But your time for your intervals doesn't change. So lunch is still the same time,
Yeah.
and tea is still the same time.
So even if they whip through their overs and they get to 80 overs at 5:32 on day 2, carry on going. Carry on going. And the communication part around that is really important. Okay, Amish? Yeah, sorry.
So if, for example, that happens at 5:29,
Yep.
do you then start day 2 1 minute early then?
Yeah. Now, so looking at scenarios 2 and 4, this is a ground weather and light point, okay? If we come off before the scheduled cessation time, we come back early next week and we play the overs. If we come off after the scheduled cessation time, those overs are lost to the game. Lost overs. Okay? Todd, you did it was you, wasn't it? Out here? Grand final? Okay, slow over rate, slow over rate. You and John? Todd and Nathan, they knew, because we're playing at the end of March, they knew because of slow over rates, bad light is going to hit us at whatever time, or roughly whatever time it is, and we're probably going to lose 6-7 overs in the day. So they came off at 1 minute to the cessation time. And one of them says, oh, what's the, the light's still fine, the light's still fine. And then,
6 overs.
at least, yeah, absolutely it was. So they came back the next day, 1 minute early, but the team batting got their full allocation of overs. Great piece of match management.
And that happened at 5:31.
Those
I
overs.
think it wouldn't have enough light too, because they probably got the runs.
Well, it was the next day. It was the next day, but they'd given both the teams. Why should the batting team be punished because the bowling team are bowling?
They're not going to have enough light to get the runs.
Well, they put the lights in
It's
there.
their fault.
Second day.
Well, it's
Well,
their
they
fault
might-
of being so everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
if we asked a question, James.
Shakti, sorry, go on. mate.
As the, as you said, if we start, like, as you said, the team B starts at 1:45, as you,
Yeah.
How about the, tea time and lunch time?
They stay. They stay. So we'll play 12:45 till 1:40.
Mhm.
Half an hour's tea, half an hour's lunch, 2:10 till 3:40, 20 minutes of tea, 4 o'clock till 6:05. Okay, we're going to have an extended session. You can take 2 drinks breaks. That might be bowled out in that time. You might get a first innings result after tea. Okay. So long day. Yeah, long day. Long day. But that's okay. You had a short day last. So that's okay.
Easy hope it doesn't rain.
Yeah. Okay. If team A are still batting at the end of day 1 and they've had their minimum overs and we've reached the scheduled cessation time, they must declare their innings closed. That's it. The players all know this. They all know this. They understand. We're basically playing a very long one-day game. A very long one-day game. Okay, so 1s and 2s we play 90, 3s and 4s we play 80. And as if they've got wickets in hand, as we get towards the end of the day, then their over rate will go up and they, the last 10 overs, they can have 9 fielders on the boundary. That's no problem. As we're basically playing long one-day matches with compulsory declarations. And if the team batting second are still batting their first innings at the end of day 2 and they've received their minimum overs for the day, then they must declare as well. Okay, and that's how we get our results. So team A might have made 400 in their 90 overs. Team B, they might not be all out. They might be 2 for 110 at the end of their 90 overs. Team A win. No draw points if there's equal overs and we've had no GWL. Okay, Dixie.
Just check what you said is you're saying we go off the ground with our lights after time.
Yep.
5:30.
Yep.
There's still 3 minimum overs to be bowled. Then they lose that.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
Okay. Extra time. We've done.
Just before you ask
Yeah.
questions, I asked if there's a change of innings on day 1 and team 2 starts batting, they get their 80 minimum overs only applies to day 2. So even if they get 20 overs on day one, they're still entitled to 80 overs on day two. They don't have to declare after they've faced 80 overs.
No, correct.
So they could have 100 overs. But they only have to declare at the end of day two if they've faced the minimum number of overs on day two and the scheduled closure of play on day
Yeah.
two.
Someone just said, start giving more evidence.
What's that?
Then you get outright silence.
Yeah.
Worth considering.
I've been saying that to you for 20 years, haven't they? So- Right, so we can add on time. We do have extra time for ground weather and light, okay, for ground weather and light reasons or for, wholly acceptable circumstances, not for slow over rates, not for slow overs, but ground weather and light. So on day one, subject to ground weather and light, we may extend, day one playing time. We can add 60 minutes on. 30 minutes of that can be added on to the end of day one, 30 minutes to the start of day two. Okay. On day two, in day two time, we can add 30 minutes on to the end of day two. So day two can be a really long day. We can have an extra half hour at the start. We can have a full day. And if we lose, 30 minutes in the middle of the day, then we take that time on at the end of the day. So 60 minutes of day one playing time, 30 minutes on day one, at the end of day one, 30 minutes at the start of day two. And we can add on 30 minutes of day two time to the end of day two. So if we lose 90 minutes on day one, we can't go 30 here, 30 at the end of day one, 30 at the start of day two, and 30 at the end of day two. No. Okay, that 30 minutes at the end of day two is from day two time only.
So you can actually start with day two, 30.
Only if you've lost time on day one? Yeah, yeah. Okay.
You've got to be very careful because you could lose time. Affect in what it would be on day one's playing time. Still classed as day one, and then you can't add the 30 minutes extra for day two because the time lost is still effectively on day one.
Correct. Do you understand, Ian? Okay, no, that's okay. So let's say we lose 30, so we come off at 5 o'clock at the end of day one, and we know our cessation time is 5:30, all grades, 5:30. So we've lost 30 minutes. Next day, next Saturday, I think there's no Saturday, Sundays on. So next Saturday, we start 30 minutes early to catch up, but it's day one time. So if we can't start 30 minutes early because of rain or bad light, that time is lost. We can't take in that 30 minutes, only in that 30 minutes. We can't take that time and chuck it on the end because that is day one time. From 12:10, if we start losing time, we can chuck that time on the end. We can make up that time on the end. All right, Nick?
Sorry, so if you've lost, if you can't add the extra half an hour onto day two, and you bowl 71 overs, does that mean the team batting second only get 71 overs at the time?
Yes. No. So give me. You need more. Need to give me more information.
They've gone off at 5 o'clock. They've bowled 71
on day one.
On day one.
Yep.
And you're going to come back half an hour early the next week to make up the 9 overs. I know.
Yep.
Okay. Now we don't start on time.
Right.
So we lose that half an hour. So we actually start bang on for half an hour.
Yep. No compulsory declaration in that case.
Whoever wants to do it.
No, in day one, if you come off 5 o'clock and you lose half an hour, you can extend the playing day one for an extra half hour, or you can make it up and start day.
So we don't get back on day one.
Yep.
We lost that half an hour. We're going to come back and make up half an hour day two.
Yep.
If we come back at 10 o'clock, well, we're due to start half an hour early, whatever.
Yep.
But it's raining.
Yep.
And we can't get back on. We actually get on exactly half an hour after
then
we were supposed to, which is the normal.
Yep, the regulation
So
time.
day two time.
Yep.
Yep.
Correct.
Those overs, the short day, Yeah, they're gone for the game.
They are gone.
Team A missed out on those
But
overs.
you're then,
And
as it's
then
going to be
take-
explained, you're into, there's no compulsory.
No compulsory declaration, so they can carry on batting.
We lost now.
No, it's any time. If you lose any time now,
It's not.
same as last year,
Yeah.
same as last year.
Oh, those 9
So they can just think, if they're 5 for 200 after their 75 overs, and then we lose time, as soon as we've got any time that we cannot make up, they can just bat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does that change?
What does that look like? What does that mean?
It just means.
No
ordinary-
compulsory
ordinary
declaration.
conditions only means there's no compulsory declaration.
They bat until they get bowled out, and then the other team have got however many overs to try and get those runs. And if they don't, and if they're not bowled out, it's a draw.
It changed from the year before to the last year. It used to be you had to, that you could make up an hour, but then you had to lose another hour before you went to ordinary conditions. Now, if you cannot make up the time that's lost in day one through the half an hour extra at the end of the day or the half an hour at the beginning of day two, then you go to ordinary conditions.
Two start batting.
Yeah, they would start at the normal scheduled start time if you can get off. If that's when you decide play's going to start.
Team A will still bat. They will continue to bat. If they're not all out, they continue to bat.
As soon.
Day 2.
And hang on one at a time. Phil?
So if you finish at 5 o'clock, you've got 9 overs still to bat.
Yep.
in Team A.
Yep.
And for some reason you can't start early the next week, there's
Yep.
juniors or whatever.
Yep. No, it wouldn't be juniors. No.
Oh, whatever.
Yep.
You can't start till the scheduled start.
Yep.
They get those 9 overs. Or
No, those 9 overs are gone. They are gone.
Side A from day one can still keep batting the whole.
Continue to bat. Yep.
They can bat all day if they want.
Yep.
So Team A keeps
Well-
batting. Takes two.
Sorry?
Team A keeps batting.
They can continue to bat because we're on what's called ordinary conditions.
It's
Well,
then
we're
up
not
to,
called
then
ordinary
up
conditions,
to
but
the
no
teams
compulsory
to
declaration.
decide if they're going to make a game of it or not.
So you get those, don't get back to their regular 9
No, they can bat forever. If they had 71 overs on day one, and if we can't make those overs up at the end of day one or at the start of day two, then we've lost time in the game. So there's no compulsory declaration.
They can bat all day.
They can just bat all day.
If you lose a minute due to GWL, there's no compulsory declaration.
Sorry, no. If you lose a minute that you cannot make up,
Actual playing time, not real time. If you lose a minute of actual playing time after you've expired every avenue to make up time, it goes into ordinary
So they
conditions.
can bat for 2 days.
Correct.
Good for your batting average.
So they can,
Yeah.
depends if you're doing good.
so the size of the play on day two in that scenario, ordinary conditions would be your 5:30, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
5:30 or 80 overs.
Then you cannot, when you lose time after explore.
It just-
Extra.
It's what it means is that when you ordinary conditions just means there's no longer any compulsory declarations.
Like, you
So they can-
61 minutes.
It then becomes up to the teams to decide if they're going to try and make a game of it through they voluntary declare.
Not 121, did we?
No,
No.
so that changed last year.
Michael,
What happens if you cut down early on the juniors?
It won't happen.
there you go. If that is the case, then you would shift your entire day.
It won't happen.
Okay. It won't happen.
Third is like we'll start 12:10, half an hour early would be 11:40. The latest a junior game will go on will be 11:15.
There you go.
So if you lose 61 minutes of play.
Yep.
The team A can bat all the next week.
If you lose 1 minute of play and you cannot make it up, they can bat all day. In theory. In theory. So if we come off at 5:29 and we've got another 8 overs to go, next week it's raining and we cannot make up that 1 minute. No compulsory declaration.
Make that 1 minute, then we have to go, they have to go only, they have to play only 8 overs, right?
Yep. They have 1 minute, they bowl their 8 overs,
And
and then we stop.
team B will.
They get their full allocation of 80 or 90 day 2 overs. Yeah. Okay.
And these are only for 1 day games, it's really regular.
What's that?
Yeah, your appendices.
No, the appendix in your 2-day playing conditions are for 2-day cricket. Okay,
1 day one is 1 day cricket. So
Yeah.
two.
what have you got there, Phil?
I've just got, on Mondays, we've only done one day.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I've got some 2 days here. Okay, so in the event of a GWL delay, you can change the time for lunch or tea to maximise playing time. For example, if you come off because of ground weather and light, you know, within sort of 15 minutes of the lunch interval, and you're going to be off for more than 20 minutes, half hour, I suggest you take that lunch interval and you include that half hour, take that lunch interval from when you went off to maximise your time, the earlier time that you can come back. Okay, lunch interval for the good of volunteers and clubs and being reasonable to, like I say, volunteers who are helping out for their competition. You can be a bit more flexible with lunch, or you can be as flexible as you want with both. Okay, but for the good of the competition and volunteers and club people and general sort of common decency, we wouldn't massively move tea. You know, if you come off at 3:25, you could say, yeah, we'll include the tea interval in this break. It's very good practice, as it says there, to communicate with our volunteers and our club volunteers. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I would be speaking to the home club first. Yeah, definitely. But that wouldn't necessarily be a deciding point. I would be discussing them. It's good practice to discuss with them. Hey, look, if we've just come off because of a bit of rain, it's not going to be a massive rain shower, but we'll give your curator a bit of time to, you know, get the covers off and could we have our tea interval now? Remembering it is a tea interval, the food is virtually secondary, if that makes sense. Okay, it's like in a one-dayer, it's a break between the innings. It's not a lunch break. It is a break between the innings. And so it's always half an hour, no matter when you finish your innings. In this instance, slightly different, and we're doing the right thing by the clubs. So if we come off at 2:10, we're not going to say, I'll tell you what, we take tea now, so we don't start losing time until 2:30. That's not the way to go.
It may happen in a situation where you haven't been on at all day, but you can see that the ground's going to become fit around about the time you're going to take tea. In that case, you can then approach the club and say, look, can we have tea half an hour earlier so we can start on time? And that you can do that. If they say no, you can always say, well, we're going on anyway. So
okay, good. So, and next point, even in the event that a compulsory declaration doesn't apply, so we've lost some time that we cannot make up, we can still add time. Yeah, go on.
Don't consider your volunteers to be, work with them, help them out, but don't consider them to be integral to your GW decision making. They have no official role in the game. So you're still working with the captains and you're probably pushing the home captain to make sure their volunteers do the right thing as well. If a volunteer is being difficult to work with, so you just tell the captains, look, they said they can't get the food ready. So we will take the tea and you have food later, but don't keep essentially keep the tea table at its original time simply because a volunteer doesn't want to prepare tea early. The game itself, the integrity of the game is still more important than when people have food.
Well, you can have food afterwards.
Yeah.
Not for me, Ahmed.
Equally, the home captain, depending on their scenario of their team in the game, they might be telling their volunteers, we ain't moving tea. Whatever you do, we're not going to move tea. They might be 8 down and looking for every moment off the field that they can get. Okay, so even if we've lost some time that we cannot make up, so we're into our compulsory declarations not applying, we still extend play at the end of day one if we've lost time through GWL and at the start of day two. So if we've lost 2 hours at the start, if we lost our entire first session, we still add on half an hour to the end of day one, and we still add on half an hour to the start of day two. Okay. So if more than 60 minutes of real time, more than 60 minutes of real time, as Ahmed described it, is lost on day one, and if more than 30 minutes of real time is lost on day two, then we use Appendix 1 that Phil noted to calculate the new minimum overs for each day. Okay, and I do have an example, but I'm not an example. I do have Appendix 1. going to begin exactly like the one day in T20 playing did. Just follow the bouncing ball. And the good news is that we're not doing any examples.
Real time, the actual time on your ball.
See you later, George. Take care, mate. Nice to see you. Okay.
Sorry, Alan, what you say about real time?
Real time is the actual time on your watch, so it's the seconds and minutes and hours that are ticking down. That's the
Not to be
actual
confused with
time.
actual playing time.
Correct.
Okay.
Not to be confused with actual playing time, which we're going to talk about now.
Okay, because we might lose 45 minutes of real time, but we can make up 45 minutes. So we haven't lost any playing time, actual playing time. Okay, and this is pretty much
Real time.
this is pretty much what we've been discussing. I'll just go back one actually. This one. So if we have lost more than 30 minutes on day one, and we'll be starting early on day two, play will stop at 6 p.m. No minimum overs. Sorry, minimum overs. No minimum overs. Play will stop at 6 p.m. So if we've lost 35 minutes in the day, 5:30 until 6 o'clock is 30 minutes, and we stop at 6 o'clock. Those no matter how many overs have bowled. If we bowled 84 overs in a first or second grade game, we take that 5 minutes. We start 5 minutes early the next week. We bowl those remaining overs. Not in that 5 minutes, however long it takes. And then we start. So only under GWL, if we've lost more than 30 minutes, that's the only time we stop at 6 o'clock. Unless the planets are align in your other, what do you call it? Okay. In the playing conditions. So if we lose more than 30 minutes, okay, then we can only make up 30 minutes. We can only make up from 5:30 till 6. So we do stop at 6 o'clock. That's the only instance in which we stop at 6 o'clock. If we've had no GWL, we go past 6 o'clock. Michael.
What if you don't?
Sorry, is I Michael?
No, you runs set for that time or?
Hang on.
Penalty.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. I don't know what. When you say penalty, what for over rates? We'll talk about over rates at the end. Okay, it's an answer.
Finish at 6, even if the minimum overs increased.
Only if you've had more than 30 minutes of GWL interruptions. We'll be in there somewhere. It's definitely in there. Todd.
Just playing devil's advocate, if we're making up the hour,
Yep.
okay, we're stopping at 6 o'clock.
Yep.
Okay. Now, presumably the over in progress, you don't just walk off it.
No. You can.
Completely over.
Yep.
That may take us 3 or 4 minutes past 6.
Yep.
Does that 3 or 4 minutes come off the next week? Or do we still start the half an hour? We're only making up.
That's a great question.
Because we're only making up an hour.
Yep.
We've got 3 minutes there and enough, that becomes.
I say yes. I say if you do 33, if you finish at 6:03, then you come back 27 minutes early.
What do you say, Ahmed? Because you're the guru.
I say the.
I said the over counts and you come back 30 minutes early.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the over started and that time at 6:03.
Yeah, those 3 minutes are not.
Irrelevant.
Correct.
We come back.
Because it's no different to finishing an over at 12:35 when you were meant to finish at 12.
It's a way of gaining a little bit of time.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Because you're
that
going
does make sense.
because if you've come off, if you lose time after if you're on 30-minute session, you lose time, you lose the overs. This is just a way of just getting a small amount of time
You
back.
convinced me. That's right. So if we finish at 5:33 normal playing time, we don't start early the next week or late the next week, do we?
Correct.
No. So yeah, that's right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
The next one, for some reason, is a blank slide. I don't know why. So in the event of considerable GWL impact across the competition, we will publish a state of the games that are affected by GWL. Okay, so they'll come out probably in the Premier Cricket update. I would suggest they'll certainly come out in before the toss. Okay, and each game that is affected will have the details of the game.
It will probably be a special email.
Yep, there we go. Okay, so across the board, if there is considerable GWL across Perth, if there are, what have we got? 16, 32 matches. If 12 of them are affected by GWL this Saturday, then one day next week, it will be, who's playing whom this week? Whoever it is. Gosnells versus Subi. A grade, or sorry, first grade. Day one, 83 overs bowled, time to finish at X o'clock. Start time is this o'clock, these amount of overs to be bowled. Or, yeah, that's right, or X amount of minutes lost. Team may continue to bat, ordinary conditions. No compulsory
I
declaration.
want to come back to this extra time finishing at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
So you've lost exactly 30 minutes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So you're finishing at 6 and you bowled 88 overs. And you're saying you finish.
No, so if you got more than 30.
So you complete the overs.
That says
past your 6 o'clock.
says
So
if you lost more than 30.
If you lost exactly 30, you complete the overs on that day. But if you lost say 31, more than 30, then you stop at 6.
And then you go 1 minute early.
Yeah.
Whatever the left, yeah, so say if it was
And then you
31
make up
minutes
the lost overs on effect wise.
on day 2.
Day
Yeah,
one,
day
playing
one,
time on
yeah.
day 2.
If you've lost 29 minutes, you can go to 6:15
Yeah. Or
to
whatever.
bowl those overs. Yeah.
So if it's 30 minutes or less of time lost to day 1, there's no
You finish
kind
your
of time. You finish your overs, how long it takes.
If it's more than 30 minutes, then if you haven't bowled your overs on day 1, you go over into the half an hour on day 2. And then day 2 starts when day 1 overs are
Correct. Yeah.
plus 10 minutes.
Yeah.
If
Unless
If
Yeah.
needed, yeah.
unless team B are batting, in which case they just roll through. Okay.
No GWL happening, you just keep them.
Just keep playing. If you stop at 6 o'clock, I'll be coming around. All right, unless you bowled your 90, because you'll be doing first grade. Okay. Use the expertise at your ground. Okay. Phone John Sherry. Phone me. Check Play Cricket to see what Ahmed's game is doing. And if they're off for GWL, phone Ahmed as well.
Yeah.
Use the expertise. Use the expertise. Okay.
I'll give you Todd's number.
But on that point, use the umpires that are at the ground.
Use the expertise at your ground. Definitely.
And talk to your partner as well. If you're during the week, you'd be like, hey, FYI, did you see the email that's come out at 5:30? Everyone just check the email.
Yeah. And it might be a case of, oh, look, we've got to start at this time and bowl this many overs. We told the captains something different. So as soon as you get to your ground at that time. So if we're now starting at 11:48 instead of 12:10, I'm getting there at 10:48 because we get there an hour early. First place I'm going is to the captain. Zzz.
This calculation, calculating the overs, used overs, it's only if you lose more than 60 minutes.
It's basically if you lose any time that you cannot make up.
Yes, but you can make up 30.
We can make up 30 and 30, yeah.
But if it's more than 60, you'd be on ordinary conditions.
Correct.
But you'd have minimum overs reduced.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. We'd like to practice some gratitude online. If you could type in your gratitude, that'd be lovely, please. And we'll just practice some gratitude around the room. Where are you? Where are you going? Ian, quickly. Okay.
They're grateful that they can learn in
Grateful by shut up.
Grateful for getting shut up. Who? Oh, she goes the right.
Fred, I'll be actually there.
That's it. If you're young, you'd be open to it. Right, she's not bad.
It's your mother you're talking about, you know, that.
He does. Planning on keeping her for a little while on it.
Right.
But she's on legs. She never thought it. She's old, hasn't she?
After the washing line, just have them.
What are you grateful for today, Phil?
I've got a problem. Oh, my nephew returned,
Oh, cool.
so it's good. We had a day up north yesterday.
Excellent. Where do you come in from?
No,
All right. Very good. Kurt, what are you grateful for? Man?
My parents.
Oh, that's good. That's very good. Phil, not Phil. Jeff, what are you grateful for today?
Just got back from overseas, and I'm just grateful the plane didn't come down.
Yeah, okay, yeah, okay, it must have come down near the end.
The back of the ship, we jumped on last time, put it,
Oh, really? Where'd you come in from? Oh, lovely. Not direct.
no, Sydney. back.
Okay. Wow. How was Oahu?
Yeah, good.
Excellent. Very good. Lovely. Stephen Lamb, what are you grateful for today?
I saw a movie today and had lunch.
Okay. Busman's holiday for you. What did you go and see?
Cleveland. Oh, Lee.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. Very good.
You know someone.
John, what are you grateful for today?
What am I grateful for
Yeah.
today? I'm grateful that I survived my monthly meeting with the Officials HQ committee without banging my head off the desk 6 times.
That is good. Very good. And anyone online with any interesting gratitude?
Terry Cooper says he's grateful that he hasn't had to do any calculations.
Very good. Excellent.
Yeah, this season.
Okay. We'll move on. Righto. So 2-day playing conditions. Now we're talking about results. Okay. The game ends. So if both teams have completed their first innings, the teams have scored the team having scored the most runs shall be awarded a win on first innings. Okay. If both teams have completed their first innings and both teams have scored the same number of runs, then both teams will be awarded a tie on first innings. A team can either win on first innings or tie, and they can lose outright. Okay, that is possible. This is a big one. I might try and do this in one breath. Okay. So if either team has not completed their first innings due to ground weather-like conditions, and if the team batting second has scored more than the opposing team in its first innings, they shall be awarded a win on first innings. Otherwise, both teams will be awarded a draw or no result points, depending on the situation. Okay, so if we move away from that compulsory declaration, so if we're in ordinary conditions or no compulsory declaration, Team A declares through their choice or is all out, so completes their first innings. And then Team B comes and bats and scores more runs. Team B win on first innings. Team B doesn't score all their runs, okay, but they're not out, then that's a draw. And if Team B is bowled out for fewer runs than Team A, then Team A win on first innings. Okay, that's a very confusing way of saying just normal cricket. Normal cricket. Okay. Couple of details. So 2 short pitch balls per over, same as our one days. Anything above any short pitch ball above the head is a wide. Are we going to call the marginals? I would suggest I suggest we give them a bit more latitude in red ball cricket. That's the expectation in the professional game. Okay, so just a tiny little bit more latitude. Wides are judged by the laws of cricket. Okay.
4 inches.
So it's not. Sorry.
Yes, byline.
No, that's not what I'm laughing at. So whites are judged on the laws of cricket. If you're in 3s and 4s, you've had juniors in the morning, they should have wide lines painted because they play limited overs cricket with wide restrictions. But 3rd and 4th grade, the wide lines do not count in 2-day cricket.
God, I'll just call them.
Okay. Dixie.
Just track back to this wide above the head. It's
Yeah.
going to cause a lot of confusion.
Okay.
Saying, it's either wide above the head, standing upright or not.
Correct. Yeah, that's right. It's either is or it isn't. But if it's marginal, then we're not going to call it. In white ball cricket, there's an expectation that we call marginal ones. Things that are really close, we'll call them. So the batter gets, let's just call it the benefit of the doubt. The batter will get the benefit of the doubt in white ball cricket. The bowler gets a bit more latitude in red ball cricket. Okay. If there is a code of conduct on day one, you must inform that player, club and captain on day one. You complete the report form at the end of the match. Pretty simple.
And it gives you the opportunity to double him up on day 2 as well. Which is
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why you keep it till the end of the two.
Okay.
You're really naughty boys.
It's not, sorry. Right. The match is concluded if we have an outright. So if we have an outright win, the game is over. Where the minimum number of overs have been bowled on both days and the time for the close of play on day 2 has been reached, game over. Any time after tea on day 2, if a first innings result has been achieved and both captains agree. Okay. Bowling restrictions, this is new. This is changed. This is new. So under 19s, are we right in what we said earlier, Bob? You don't sound completely convinced.
I'm not convinced.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So maximum of 20 in a day for our under 19s and a spell of 6. Okay. 6 in a spell. For our 17s, 16 in a day, 6 in a spell, and the daily allowance includes overs that they may have bowled in juniors in the morning. So an under 17 could have bowled 10 overs in their morning match. They come to your game. How many are they allowed to bowl? Absolutely right. Maximum of 6.
Just a quick one in regards to the break of 30 minutes. Can that be converted to items?
No,
No.
no, it says 30 minutes. Yes. So I could bowl 6, stop for lunch, have a 30-minute lunch, come out, bowl 6 more.
But bowler arrives late because he's playing either in the junior game or he's been writing an exam or he's been at uni, he can bowl straight away.
Only for junior cricket. I think it was changed about uni a couple of years ago. It used to be the case. But if they've been to an exam, unlucky, penalty time. Okay. Rightly or wrongly? That's what the rule says.
Just go back to the result again.
Yep.
The table says, tie on first innings, tie an outright result, total points 8. So you technically can have a tie on first innings and a tie in second innings and a point difference and a point of difference.
Correct. That's for the purposes of Latins and rankings, yeah.
There you go. Okay. Under 15.
Unusual.
Unusual, very unusual. We have to do it.
Tie in the first innings and
What do you get for a tie in first innings?
tie in first innings.
So if we tie on first innings, what points do we get?
But it says tie in first innings 3, then outright result win, you get the results points and total points 13.
Right.
If you tie and lose, you get 3.
Yeah.
If you go tie, you get result points 5, total points 8.
That would be the same with the draw as well, wouldn't it? Yeah, so it's a draw, basically. Those draw points are 5 points. So you get your 3 for your tie, 5 for the draw.
Result points are 5 points.
So the total points is
Total
different.
points is different.
Right.
Side on day 2 doesn't get to the runs, but the bowling side doesn't bowl them out. So then it's not a completed innings, and that's the draw.
Only if you're affected by GWL. If there's no GWL, they declare high score wins. Yep. Yep. If there's no GWL, they've had their 90 overs. They've had their 90 overs. Like I say, it's a big one, a long one day game. High score wins. Yeah. So for under 15s,
Points are not due.
I want to talk about these under 15s. So for under 15s, maximum of 12 overs in a day, maximum spell of 6 before their 30-minute break. And once again, overs bowled in the morning do count. So if we've got a gun 15-year-old who was 14 on the 31st of August, 30th of June, thank you. Then he bowled 10 in the morning, can only bowl 2 in the afternoon.
That's only in the under 15 competition.
No, that's for under 15s.
That's for the competition and that is an oversight.
So it's only into 19, that's changed then.
The spell, yeah,
The spell was 8, wasn't it?
yeah, wasn't it? Yeah.
17th and 19th. Is that only for pace bowlers or spinners as well?
What is that? Pace bowlers. Spinners.
If you like.
All day. All day.
Oh, 45.
Okay,
So what was that? I'm just running 15-year-old was the 6 over spell. is it?
correct. So for the day, not for the match, for the day. Okay, penalties.
Yes. To move on to penalty, is it my responsibility as umpire to make sure that they are doing those overs? Because if I'm officiating.
Yep.
There is coming in the middle of the game.
Yep.
Obviously, I'm not aware how many he has bowled in the morning.
You'll find that out. It's your responsibility to find that out. How many did bowler X bowl? How many did you bowl this morning? Oh, I think it's about 4.
Didn't bowl,
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Really?
You take what they tell you on face value. We're not going to stop the game, go and check, play cricket and see how many they bowled. We're going to take them on face value. We're going to take them on what we tell them. And if it's proved to be wrong, I've got my notes here. He told me he bowled 4, so he was allowed 8 for the day. If he bowled 10 in the morning and then bowls it, not a responsibility. We'll put it in our match report.
Is it audited back at house? What you have done for the game?
Probably not. I don't know, to be honest.
If the coaching and talent team,
Depends who it is.
yeah.
Yeah, if it's
depends on the player.
if it's a pathway player, I can assure you it will be, yeah.
That's a bowl, 3 ball.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, 3 balls a year.
Yeah.
Okay, so penalties. Okay, so penalties for slow over rates do apply. They apply at the end of the match. Okay. You take the amount of time they were bowling, the total amount of time they were bowling, even across 2 innings. So if I bowl people out, bowl the team out, I'm bowling for 210 minutes, and then I bowl again in the second innings and I bowl for another 85 minutes. My total bowling time is 285 minutes across the match. Then I take off the allowances. So if I've got all those wickets in the first innings, that would be 9, 2 times 9, 2 minutes per wicket, 9, because you don't get 2 minutes for that last one.
So that's 3 really.
What's that?
You said it was 3
No,
minutes.
no.
3 minutes.
No, 2 minutes. So 3 minutes.
The batsman's got 3 minutes before he starts.
Correct. And if a wicket falls within 3 minutes, okay. So we take those. So that 285 minutes in that first innings, I took 10, but only 9 count because the last one doesn't count because we're going to an interval. So that's 18 over across 2 sessions. That's 2 drinks breaks. So that's another 8. So that's 26 minutes. So 285 minus 26 plus my allowances in the second innings. Maybe we lost the ball for 4 minutes or a player got injured for 3 minutes. It's another 7. So we take off all that time. Then we divide by 3.7 to give the amount of overs I should have bowled. And if the amount of overs I should have bowled is more than the amount of overs I did bowl, I'm behind my overs. Jeff, you look confused. Okay, just process it. Use the expertise at your ground. Michael,
So do you get 2 minutes allowed time for wickets then or not?
what does it say?
Yes.
9.
Okay. 2 minutes per wicket, unless it's the last wicket. And we don't because we're going into the innings break, or you take that drinks break at the time, or you take a wicket and it leads into lunch or tea. So you don't get your, so if it goes into a drinks break, yeah, that's a great way of putting it. So if you take a wicket and it goes straight into a drinks break, you don't get 2 minutes plus 4 minutes, you just get the 4 minutes.
James said earlier, you've done a few games, we'll get the hang of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if if you've got 35 minutes worth of allowances, yeah, we should be finishing at 5:30. If the game's done by 6:05, first innings were those penalties. it's always worth checking first innings to see where they are. And hopefully it doesn't go into a second innings.
Yeah.
If it does, you can, the same principle applies.
You can actually make it up.
Absolutely, they can, yeah. Or they could lose it. Picnic.
For the benefit of the newer umpires, if the captain comes and asks you, am I on target? How would you answer it? If you say that's a penalty, you have penalty time. Best way to answer.
Penalty time or allowances?
Sorry, wrongly described allowance.
Allowances.
Drinks break, you know what allowances are. Yeah, but you've got, obviously.
What I'm doing is, or you say, well, I must.
You say, well, actually, at the moment, you're 2 overs down.
I've had situations like that. I actually don't even take into consideration the allowances at that time. I just basically go on where they're at and then just tell them that I haven't even calculated any allowances. And that's what I've done.
Okay.
I don't know whether that's correct or not. I don't know.
You do what works for you.
I say, I've got 20 minutes of allowances for you.
I suppose that's what I want to know, is you can just say, but we've got allowances.
Yeah, we're going to finish late, but we've got loads of allowances, so your over rate is fine. So in first and second grade, you want to be roughly 16 overs at drinks, 33 at lunch, 50 at the second drinks break, 65, 66 at tea, and then that leaves 24 for the rest of the day. So 4 for 24 is 12, so 78 and 90. And in second grade, you want 13, 27, 40, 54, 70, 61, 8, whatever those numbers are. So 26, 26, 27, that sort of numbers. 26, 27, 27.
There are different schools of thoughts on how you communicate over rates.
That's why I like it.
Yeah, my personal method is I will take into account the drinks and wickets allowances. And if there's a significant injury, delay, etc. But the little discretionary allowances I give, or say SR swings, ball triggers, etc. I won't communicate that for purposes of pace of play. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just my personal preference. If you choose to take that into account, communicate the over rate, then that's fine. It's just you're going to finish a lot longer or a lot later because they will take it easy. Because if you tell them, oh, you've got 7 minutes or 10 minutes up your sleeve because the allowance is pretty generous, they will spend that time and you will find most of your matches finishing at 6, 6:15, 6:20.
Take it easy, anyway.
Yeah.
Whatever you say, take it small shoulder, mate. So I'll go at their pace.
Yeah.
Not if
You can tell them at toss that there's 2 minutes allowance for each wicket, when there's not a break, and 4 minutes per
if you
drink.
remind them,
And leave it up to them to work it.
if you remind them 0.5 of a point is effectively an entire game, they will speed up.
I've never penalised anybody in the 2 day game, put it on.
They've done, I think there's been 2 instances, the 6 years I've been doing the job.
And is that because the over rates have always been good, or is it because the umpires aren't applying it properly?
Bit of both.
West Indies always used to be pretty slow on their end.
Yes.
So we've got 50%. If there's 2, once the umpire hasn't applied it properly once.
No. The ones that haven't been applied is the point. Right, Michael. Hang on. Can I just go to my last slide first? Any questions, Michael? That's what you can say. Question. Yeah, mate.
If we then, with the allowance time, we aren't really going to finish like 6:20.
Yep.
Do we then take a night drinks break throughout that time? Or
Depends.
only if it's necessary?
Time, place, circumstance. If you get to tea and you've got 30 overs to bowl, no, more than that, and you've got 35 overs to bowl, and it's a hot day, then I would be saying to the captains, this is going to be a 2-hour session comfortably, or this is going to be a 2.5-hour session. We're going to have 2 drinks breaks, or would you like 2 drinks breaks? It's going to start cooling down as well. Would you like 2 drinks breaks? We'll take them after 50 minutes and 100 minutes. So, yeah. And they get those allowances as well. And in those eight 8 minutes of allowances in those 2 drinks breaks, boys, if you make this a real quick drinks breaks, they get there 4 minutes anyway. If they have a drinks break that takes 90 seconds, they make up 2.5 minutes. Does that make sense? So you can really benefit from a really quick drinks break, but lead the pace of play yourself. Go on, Matthew, sorry.
Brilliant, as I just said, I'm taking a drinks break, so you might as well join me.
Righto. Any further questions? Let's go around the room. Anything from online, John?
That in terms of.
Yep.
Bring up this line ball thing that you put up on one day. Baseball tosses.
Yep.
Are you saying we're not playing one line ball on this one? Because it's a difficult one. And when I say it's difficult, some batsmen are batting outside their crease and the ball dips at the last minute.
Right.
So are we, it's either above the waist or it's below.
Yeah. And if it's above the waist, we call it, and if below the waist, we don't.
I was told in the window it's going to be favouring the
Batter. Yeah. Yeah.
I think for waist high calls, the marginal calls don't change.
I don't think so either.
So either it's for waist high full tosses, above waist, non-pitching deliveries, the marginal calls don't change in red ball and white ball.
What do you mean by the marginal calls?
So if it's close, call it.
So if you're there like this,
If it's here, if it's on the waist, call it. But for wide, if it's sort of here,
Where?
here, sort of next to them,
Four
this is the ball. If it's here,
so for those of you online, I'm now going to, thanks for your attendance. I'm going to stop the recording and this recording. Oh, we've got a question.
here, here.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm going to
well, that's about
stop. Do you need that? Do you want that to be on the recording, or are you just going to talk to?
next to that.
It can be on.
Good luck if you can pick up exactly.
It doesn't have to be.
Okay, I'm going to stop the recording, but please stay online because John Sherry would like to address you. Hang on. So Mr. Michenko and TR have both got their hands up. Have you had your questions answered, Andrew and TR?
So yes, James. Yeah, just a comment about concussion subs on day 2 might be possible. I don't think that was covered.
Oh yeah, concussion cut. Yeah, great shout. Excellent. Thank you. TR, what would you like to raise?
Standing up.
Yeah, concussion is one issue, man. And what happens to the junior cricket in case the time is up and still they have to bowl another 4 or 5 overs?
So junior cricket, this is not junior cricket playing conditions.
I know that.
So
I know that. Just a
okay,
question
so
to ask.
junior cricket, you complete your overs.
50 overs. All right. Done.
You
Cheers,
complete your
thanks.
50. Yeah.
Done.
Okay. Good stuff. Andrew Misenko picks up a really good point. We now have the possibility of a concussion substitute. Thank you. So not for us to manage, a concussion substitute, a replacement player, a concussion replacement player is authorised by the competitions team and approved by the competitions team, can only happen in 2-day cricket, okay? And it can only happen from day 1 to day 2. So if a captain comes to you at the start of day 2 and says, one of our players has been concussed during the game, could be midweek. It can be midweek, can't it?
It could be in practice.
At practice, could be at work. Yeah, during the game. So from the start of the game to the end of the game, if they come to you and say, we have a concussion substitute, player Y, let's not confuse with 11A and B, player Y is now in and player X is out because they have been concussed. Not for us to say yes, no. If they come and say, can you approve a concussion substitute? The answer is no. The competitions team approve the concussion substitutes, and there are protocols, and I don't know their threshold. Not my business, not our business either. They come and tell us we have an approved concussion substitute.
That could affect the fall down effect too.
No, potentially.
Yeah,
Potentially. But no, they're not going to come down from another grade.
Second grade, going first.
Sorry,
Not a concussion substitute. Here we go.
Clarify. If there is a concussion substitute, there would have been two things that would have happened. If it happened on day, it can only happen on day one, obviously. If there was a head knock that was serious enough that warranted a concussion, first and foremost, thing you as an umpire would have done is either email John or myself so that we are aware of it. Because if you haven't, we are going to be contacting you anyways.
Practices.
Sorry, that's in game, right? I'm talking about in game. If it happens at practice or anything, that's a different story.
That's still in game.
But yes, what will happen is if there is a concussion substitute, we would already write to you during the week. You will already know exactly which player is going out and coming in before you turn up on a Saturday.
Excellent. Thank
Do
you.
not let a player or a captain pressure you into getting replaced.
And
Okay,
if-
did you hear that online? So Ahmed said if there is a concussion sub activated in your match, you will be emailed and informed before day two.
And if a player gets injured, has a head knock during the, say, day two, and the team say he's got concussion, we want a substitute, you don't allow it because it hasn't gone through the proper protocols to determine that a concussion.
You cannot allow for a replacement on any day for that day only.
You'll have a substitute. Right?
Yeah,
You
you
can
can
have
have
a substitute hitter, but you cannot have a concussion replacement.
Yeah.
Where a player replaces a player on the same day.
And that concussion replacement may bat, may bowl. A substitute can only field.
And if that person was under any warnings around law 41, law 42,
Yeah.
if they had any penalty time, the replaced player will incur all that.
Right, I'm going to stop this recording now. Thank you. That was a great question. Good work, Andrew. Thank you, mate.